Hello, my name is Biernacki, and I am honored to be helping you. I am a special education teacher in a Catholic school on the south side of Chicago. I teach and work with kids from preschool through 8th grade. Some of those disabilities, I shouldn't say some, I'm going to list all 13 of them here. A specific learning disability, these first three are probably first four, probably the most common that you will see. And they're usually listed as, on the IEP, as eligibility. It's how they're defined, not disability, but eligibility. Why is the child eligible for this IEP? So a specific learning disability, some examples of this are dyslexia, which is a reading disability, dyscalculia, which has to do with math, dysgraphia, which has to do with writing, auditory processing disorder, that is where has nothing to do with the child's actual hearing. It has to do with how the brain connects with what they're hearing. Nonverbal learning, if the child is nonverbal, obviously that is a disability as well. Other health impairment, you will see listed as OHI. Any condition that limits a child's strength, energy, or alertness. ADHD would fall under this if they qualify for an IEP. Many students that have ADHD do not have challenges so much with their learning as much as they do being able to focus or pay attention in class. They might actually be very, very bright, but so that would probably fall under more of a 504 than an IEP, where they actually require special education services in order to be successful at school. Autism spectrum disorder would be listed as ASD. That's a developmental disorder, and of course can run the gamut from a child who's completely nonverbal to a child who is very, very brilliant, but often has difficulty with social skills, communication skills, and sometimes that affects behavior as well. Emotional disturbance, or ED, some kind of anxiety disorder, depression, those would be example. Unfortunately, even before COVID-19, those were on the rise in children. And we see more and more students that struggle with that. A speech and language impairment, a child that might have challenges with articulation, but very often we think of speech as that only, as articulation, whereas it also could be their receptive language skills or their expressive language skills. So if the child has difficulty understanding directions, that would be their receptive language skills, or difficulty expressing themselves. That could be answering questions in complete sentences, answering them appropriately, staying on task, staying focused, those types of things. Speech language therapists could help them with. A visual impairment, which also includes blindness, deafness, unable to hear sounds even with a hearing aid, a hearing impairment, which isn't necessarily completely deaf. Maybe a child that has deaf blindness, has both, which requires additional services. Some type of orthopedic impairment, cerebral palsy would be an example. The child has lost the use of their limbs in some way, that would fall under that category. An intellectual disability, children with Down syndrome are typically placed in that category, but that is not the only case where a child might have an intellectual disability. A traumatic brain injury caused by an accident or physical force of some type. And then the 13th category and final category is multiple disabilities, meaning they might have more than one condition. If you believe your child would qualify for an IEP and does not currently have them, what happens? Okay, so the first thing you do is you contact your child's teacher. You talk about your concerns about their grades, their performance. Now that you're at home with them, you may notice things that they're struggling so much more than you ever realized when they were in school all day. Before, you may have had the opportunity to work on homework with them for an hour in the evening. Now they're home all day, every day, and you're noticing things that just do not seem quite right to you, and are causing them to struggle with their learning. So you definitely want to talk to your child's teacher and be as specific as you can in your observations. Ask the teacher if you can begin the process toward an evaluation. It's a data gathering process at that point. If the teacher hasn't already started gathering data, this can last up to 10 weeks. They want to put interventions and accommodations in place for the child and track the effect that those accommodations and interventions are having on the child's progress. Once that data gathering process is complete, you'll receive a conference notification to meet for an evaluation. They're supposed to give you 10 days notice of that. Sometimes it's much shorter, and you always have the opportunity to say, no, that's not a convenient time for me, but you may end up waiting longer. Children over the age of 14 and a half must be invited to attend the meeting. On the meeting day, the IEP team will gather. You, your child's teachers, and anybody else, other school personnel, will discuss the concerns and review the data gathered. These are some of the people that may be included in that meeting, depending on what your child's needs are. The case manager is the person who has overall responsibility for the IEP team in the meeting. And you yourself are a member of the IEP team. The special education teacher, classroom teacher, maybe the school psychologist, a speech language pathologist, physical therapist, occupational therapist, the school nurse, a bilingual specialist. Not everybody is included here, and only the people that would be necessary for your child's benefit would be at that meeting. You are also welcome to bring someone along as an advocate. If you have someone, let's say in the family, who's in education, who knows your child well and can speak to their success, that would be a great person to bring along.